O'Hare Airport, there is this restaurant that's called the Macaroni Grill. And I sat down with Charlie on our first trip together. He flips over this little paper menu as we're waiting for our flight, and he takes out this pen and he just starts drawing a map of what he wants to happen into the future, what the Turning Point organization will become. It was spastic, it was unhinged, it was the absolute best. It was true Charlie. He was a visionary. Charlie was a visionary. If he could envision it, it was going to happen. He knew that, I knew that. And what he had envisioned was for Turning Point USA to become the biggest conservative student organization, not just in the nation, by the way, but in the world. He kind of squabbled and swiveled and wrote that the structure is currently a 501c3, and he's sitting there talking to me, but here's what we can do in the future, and here's how, and then I'm going to probably take control of the RNC. I mean, he's 23 years old, right? And he's speaking to me about how he's going to take over the RNC. The person that he adored the most, like really, and never in a million years did he think that he was going to meet him, and of course he did, was Rush Limbaugh. He was really raised on Rush Limbaugh, listening to Rush Limbaugh day in and day out. And he told me through many conversations that if he could have a show like Rush Limbaugh one day, he would be very happy. That was, I think, his ultimate goal, and it happened. We had a bunch of rules. Charlie's rule was never say no to Fox News. So even if the show was at 4 a.m. in the morning, crack of dawn, I cannot tell you guys how many hits we did on Fox News. I'm talking 4 hits a day, up at 4 a.m. for Fox and Friends first, and then doing whatever the evening program was, because he believed this is the way that we're going to get our names out there. You know, we have to work harder. My rule was I was like, we shouldn't drink. Everybody in politics is drinking. They're drunk all the time. If we're passionate, we have to understand that it's a disadvantage. People are always made weaker. It doesn't make anybody stronger to be drunk after an event. And so we didn't drink. And we had a couple of mottos, but Charlie's was, we can always outwork our opponents. I can't tell you how many times we looked at each other and we said, we can outwork them. Everyone was bigger than us, but not working harder than us. It came really directly from Charlie. It was the thing that he said we could always control. And I totally agreed with that. Work ethic meant everything. I think it's very obvious to everyone. I was the culture. Charlie was the politics. Charlie needed a little bit more culture. I needed to learn the rules of politics. I mean, he could tell you every office in the White House and what this person does, things I'd never even heard before. I was just passionate about Black Lives Matter. I knew it was going to be harmful for Black Americans, and I wanted to share that message. And Charlie showed me how to do that in the best way possible. I learned very quickly with Charlie that politics breeds unnecessary enemies. It is incredibly, it's a disheartening industry. You know, you're lucky if you have one friend. You're lucky if you have 2 friends. There are so many people that will test your character along the way. Like I said, I was a nobody. It was funny going through text messages yesterday, and I'm like, Charlie, my goal is to have 50,000 followers on Instagram. I think we can do it by the end of the year. And after he hired me, he had been working already really hard on doing this campus tour throughout California. He called it the Big 3, UCLA, we're gonna do Stanford, we're gonna do Berkeley. And there was somebody who was a lot bigger than me at the time who was going to be kind of the face of it, because like I said, people were not going to buy tickets to hear me and Charlie Kirk speak, and he had someone that they definitely would hear speak. And for whatever reason, and this was just my luck, Charlie was pumping gas. He was inside of the gas station, and I'm sitting in the car, and I see this person, his phone is sitting in the car, and the messages are lighting up on the screen, and this individual saying, I don't want to do this event with that new girl you hired. Like, I don't want to share the stage with her. Essentially, just mean-spirited, no reason. I'm bigger than her. I should do this by myself. And then if she wants to come on and be an auxiliary, that's fine. But I don't want to share the stage with her, this newbie. And I remember Charlie gets in the car, and he looks at the message, and he looks at me, and he knows I've looked at the message. I saw it, and I'm like, Charlie, I said, I have no idea like where this is going. Obviously, I understand that the sensible you doesn't want to lose this person on the ticket, that this means a lot to you and you've worked hard on it, but you're going to have to learn that you have to make the right decision and not the easy decision. And this is only going to work if we keep making the right decisions, you know? And I could just see the struggle within him. And then he did the right thing. He said, okay, if you don't want to do this event with this newbie Candace, then we're not going to do the event, and Candace and I will do it alone. And we did. We went at it alone. Actually, I think for that particular event, Dave Rubin hopped on, and the rest was future. For 2 years straight, Charlie and I flew around the world together on very little sleep. We were always exhausted. I'm not kidding. We took hundreds of flights together. We slept in the crappiest hotel rooms. I mean, walls so paper thin. You just hear everything. And when you're in that capacity with someone 2 years straight, just traveling nonstop, you really get to know them. You really see them in every condition. You start bickering like an old married couple. Charlie, this is not how you pack a suitcase, I say to him. Charlie, you can't just put your dirty running shoes on top of your clean shirts, okay? You just can't do that. Charlie, you need to eat something, okay? You're running on fumes, you gotta eat something. And this is not a full meal. Back, forth. Charlie, you gotta buy yourself some suits that fit. That conversation, I was like, Charlie, okay, I get it. You're like boy wonder, you gotta buy some suits that fit. I wasn't the only one that was hammering him on that. It was also Don Jr., and eventually him, and I think it was actually him and Eric. They're like, Charlie, I know you're very frugal. We know that you're very aware that your salary comes from donors. He always wanted to be a really good steward of their capital. But eventually Don and Eric got him a gift certificate, I think it was for his birthday, to a fancy suit place to go get fitted. And the rest is future, right? It is so important for me to make sure that you guys understand how absolutely hilarious Charlie was. Charlie was hilarious, okay? He did not take himself too seriously. He was so good at doing imitations and accents. Anybody, any imitation, any accent, he was just on the money. And all we did was laugh. It's all you can do and laugh. People were just so crazy all the time. When I was reading through the chat today, I was just laughing with just tears in my eyes, thinking of the many road trips that we took, so many hours spent just talking trash to one another, making fun of one another. One of the best moments that I can think of, and there's so many to choose from, was we were driving through Colorado, and I put on a Kanye song, on my playlist, and Charlie goes, "Is this Jay-Z?" I almost made him pull over the vehicle. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Okay, I understand that you don't do culture, but come on, you don't know the difference between Jay-Z and Kanye." And he didn't, and I explained to him the difference. I was like, "Okay, you gotta get into some Kanye West music." Next thing you know, Charlie's really getting into some Kanye West music. He's running 10 miles a day. He got really into running. And he's texting me about how great it is. Like there's this text, Charlie, he's like, "Yes, it's my new favorite song." And he just loved it. Kanye's Power kind of became our theme song for the tour. I have no idea why, but that was our hype song before we went on stage. So you can only imagine when just a couple of months later, we've been listening to Kanye's old albums on repeat. Suddenly Kanye West tweets, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks." The excitement. Okay, we were certain that we had manifested it. We were 100%, we manifested this by listening to Power on repeat. Actually, I found a clip of us backstage on that day when that tweet happened, and we were doing what I used to refer to as the Charlie dance. Here it is. You don't understand the divinity of him tweeting that. I'm living in the Charlie dance century. There's something mean to it. The era of Kanye. I can't even explain it because you really did have to be there. Charlie was my overly bright and sometimes really annoying kid brother. I was smiling going through my chat of how many times he would text me a picture and say, "Does this look cool? Does this look cool? Do I look cool?" This is just a screen recording of us talking about a pair of sunglasses. He's just sending me it. I'm like, "Nah, that's not good. Nope, that's not. No, send. Okay, that one's okay. That'll work." And this is actually one of my favorite photos of him where I can just hear him when I look at this photo. I can hear him saying, "Does this look cool?" He was wearing a pair of Yeezys that Kanye gave him, and he looks really cool. I thought they really suited him. I was like, "Yeah, you look really cool, Charlie." The reverse of that, obviously, was him constantly hammering me on debates. I mean, Charlie was like, "Look, you gotta know the arguments of your opponents. backward and forward. I remember I had note cards like I was in high school, just memorizing every statistic and being strengthened by, just day in and day out. He was just pretending to be a protester, pretending to be a radical. And he used to always say, iron sharpens iron. And we spent so much time practicing debating and really thinking through what our ideas were. Charlie never missed a meeting that he had. He wouldn't do that. He took that very seriously. It doesn't matter what the circumstance was, even if it was a hurricane. And one day there was literally a hurricane. I think we were in North Carolina, South Carolina at the time. I don't remember. But all the flights got canceled and we needed to be in DC by morning. And Charlie looks at me. He's like, we got to rent a car. We got to drive 8 hours. Totally insane. And one of the most fun road trips I've had in my life. Every single song was sung. Me and Charlie were always singing in cars. And to show you, this is from that road trip. And then of course there was always some hip hop mixed in, Ignition, remix. Once I get you out the clothes, prophecies. You look cool, Charlie. You look cool. We really did go everywhere. I mean, all 50 states, Canada, down to the border, the United Kingdom, Israel, you name it, we were there. And there was always a new t-shirt to print out. Justice for Brett Kavanaugh. Sends to be. How's this one? I love it. We just loved the t-shirts. That was the thing. The Him Too one, that was controversial. That was a controversial moment, one of those character forming moments. I won't forget it because that Me Too hashtag, it just started going viral and people were emotional. And right away I was like, Me Too's awful. This is terrible for women. It's terrible for men. Just me being Candace saying the thing, and left and right, people were hammering me. It was like, how dare you say that we need due process? We're talking about rape. And I remember he had young women at Turning Point who were threatening to quit, crying in the office. How could she not support Me Too? Young women who did quit. And then we had at the same time the YWLS conference. So the reporters who already hated us just completely, they just swooped in there and they were like, oh, do you support her statements? And I just remember just being behind Charlie and Andrew Colvett, and he just held the line. He held the line because he agreed with me and he knew it was going to be a bit of fire. People, you've got to fire her. How could she say this? And he didn't. He held the line. And it was one of those moments where Charlie, he had good character. But the prep for every one of those events, like even the Him Too event, it was always Kanye. Here it is. Creativity, purity, honesty, reality's catching up with me. Just my image, I'm fighting for custody. Just literally me, Charlie, and Sarah, who was his assistant at the time, just playing the hype music. Charlie and I fought a lot of battles together. I mean, of course, who could forget the infamous day that we got chased out of a Philadelphia restaurant by Antifa, and they threw water and they threw an egg on Charlie. We were just amazed at how quickly they had assembled once they found out what restaurant we were at. But I want you to watch him here, like even in this moment of shock and adversity, he finds a reason to smile, and it's incredible. Take a look at this. That was Charlie. That was Charlie, man. That was always his main thing. Be a happy warrior. And he was a happy warrior. And we were happy warriors. And we laughed a lot at the protesters, the absurdity of the protesters always. I personally think some of the protesters liked that Charlie and I were making light fun of them. I don't even know what campus event this is, but I love this video of me just playing with the protesters, sitting in front of one of their signs, and Charlie speaking over my shoulder. Take a listen.
If you aren't wealthy, white, and male, Charlie Kirk is not your friend. What do you think?
Are you not my friend anymore?
Are we not friends?
Is
that right?
Find out. Is I'm going to find
nice.
out. A sign outside of a thing, an event that we just did, that you're not my friend.
Go figure.
Looking back at too many photos. I just have too many photos of Charlie. It really is incredible to see how many times he's just right behind my back. Charlie always had my back, and I always had his. Charlie was right by my side when I started Blexit, obviously. He was also there the night that I met my husband, which was absolutely an incredible night. And in the UK, which I didn't expect to happen. I gotta tell you, initially, Charlie, ever the analytical mind, what I told him, I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna marry this guy. First, he's like, wait, like, is this gonna be good for your brand? I'm like, Charlie, this is love. This is not a brand decision. And then he sat down and he spent just one evening with George, and Charlie was just the most supportive of everything. And this is our text chain speaking about that moment. He's like, his heart is wonderful. You guys are meant for each other. I see it brilliantly and clearly. And he gets it. And he isn't afraid of you being you. And he's been through hell. And it was, Charlie was by my side the day that I got married. Of course, he was by my side, when I got married to George. And of course, Charlie fell in love with Erica. That entire journey to me when I was reading through the text is so funny because it was exceptional. I was always leaning into Charlie's analytical mind and making fun of him. Like, oh, all we need to do is get a plan. You love Erica? Okay, what's the plan? What are we going to do? What's step one? What's step two? And the plan that I came up with instantly was all we have to do is convince her that her last name is terrible. Her last name, she's got to marry you because it's practical. Mrs. Erica Kirk sounds so much better than Miss Erica Francie. What is that last name? It's a practical decision. This is the text chain from that. Charlie and Erica Kirk, he says, is going to be the power couple of the century. I need to continue to pray about it. I said, her last name's dumb. She literally needs you to propose. It's way too complicated. He said, I'm going to tell her it sounds like a sneeze. It's horrible. And then I wrote, marry me. It's a logistics thing. That's just who we were. Always making fun and always wanting to know what the plan was. And obviously it worked, you guys. It worked. Our plan worked. We broke Erica down. First came the name shame, then came the wedding, and then came the children. Charlie really loved Erica from the time I'm reading through the text today. Just loved her. He loved his family. He really did. And I just want to say that Charlie and I, because I think this is important, never for a single minute, ever, did Charlie and I stop being friends. Even when the world demanded that from both of us, our relationship was real. We were brother and sister. We were fortified. Our relationship was forged in fire, the fire of politics. I knew him. I knew Charlie, the real Charlie. And Charlie knew the real Candace, And people knew I didn't like a lot of people in politics. I didn't like a lot of people calling me and doing the political dance. Of course, people guessed it correctly when they said, oh, the person who probably was the intermediary when Trump called about Brigitte was Charlie Kirk. Of course it was Charlie. They would never send anybody else to call me with anything because they knew that Charlie was a brother to me. And there was so many things that were said that were wrong, and we laughed at how wrong it was when people thought that when I had made up my mind about Israel, that Charlie and me fell apart. Nope, never, not for a second. I said, it's the easiest decision ever because Charlie knew who I was and I knew who he was. I said, Charlie, this is where I'm at, and there's no room for movement. And you tell your whoever that needs to hear it, whatever you need to tell them, because we're always going to be brothers and sisters. We're always going to be brother and sister. And we would talk about things and debate things behind the scenes. And I think my perspective was as it's been throughout our relationship. You might not get it now, Charlie, but you will. I'm only a few years older than you, but I think you're gonna see things my way. And I think in the end, Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation. I don't think it, I know it. He was going through a lot, and there was a lot of pressure, and it's hard for me to watch the people who were pressuring him, I don't know, just say the things that they're saying. There's something about it that just feels really fake to me. And they would have allowed him to lose and wanted him to lose everything for changing or even slightly modifying an opinion, and then to see them doing what they're doing today, it's hurtful to me. It's very hurtful to me. But I don't want today to be about anything other than you guys knowing that Charlie really was an amazing person. You know, he was like, we were really close. And he was my best friend and my brother. And I will never unsee the footage of what I saw, the violence of it. I pray for the people who took any pleasure in that. There's not a single person in the world that I would wish that on. And least of all, someone with a heart like Charlie's. He loved his family, he loved his wife, he loved his country. And
sad.
He didn't deserve that ending. You know, he's really young. But I know that we will carry the torch. I will never allow the memory of Charlie to be forgotten, obviously, because there is no Candace without Charlie. You know, we came up in politics together, and so I don't know what else to say, guys, other than I'm in a lot of pain right now. And I love you, Charlie, and I'll see you when I'll see you. I love you very much. Thank you, guys.
Rough.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you courtesy of SiriusXM Channel 82 Mad Dog Sports Radio. Number to call up, as always, is 888-MAD-DOG-6. That's 888-MAD-DOG-6. That's 888-623-3646. And also, if you want to send in your voicemail messages because you can't get me on the line, you can always go to SiriusXM.com/GetSerious. That's SiriusXM.com/GetSerious to send in your voicemail messages. I'll even grade them. And if you attach your phone number to you, I might even call you back and put you on the air to hear what you have to say. Normally, as you well know, I'm somebody that comes out like a bat out of hell. I love doing radio. I love being back at Mad Dog Sports Radio. I like to lead with my passion and my fervor to really start the day, start the afternoon, so to speak. But if I sound a little bit,
So the FBI has posted those two photos of the person of interest that they're looking for, and they are really interested in this person of interest because they're offering $100,000 for any information that leads to, well, this person. And the internet did not disappoint. It's so many users all over, not only 4chan, but X. I can't believe I'm saying this. Have done their own, research. And just a warning, everything that you're going to watch in this video is allegedly. I am just going to read things that people have found and, dots that people are connected. This is as deep as the rabbit hole goes. So, people are talking about an individual called Sky Valdez. And ex-users are pointed to the chance that Sky Valdez and Omar Najera were in on the Charlie Kirk shooting together. Remember that we talk about this. Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. We spoke about this. This is Sky Valdez. This is from Pinterest. There's also some images from Instagram. Seems that they're in a band and with Omar Najera. So where does this lead to? The Charlie Kirk shooter allegedly seems to be Sky Valdez, a transgender man. I sometimes have a bit of a confusion with that. As transgender man, what does that mean? Transgender woman? You know, those strange stuff. This is still unconfirmed at this moment. Again, all is allegedly, but based on public findings, this appears to be identified as an individual known as Sky Valdez of Ogden, Utah, part of a trans activist gun group who was posting a digital album called Death to America Scum and, wait for it, Charlie Kirk is dead to me. All right. So in some pictures, that's something that I have to warn you. the half picture that you see on your left and on this side, sorry, on your left, is an AI enhanced version of the pictures released by the FBI. I don't trust AI enhanced pictures because AI tends to include things that are not there and are misleading. But people are superimposing, in all cases, the AI enhanced photo on the left with the picture of Sky Valdez on the right hand. I would say that so many things match, especially the skull, the skull shape it's a pretty good match. It's a pretty good match. Multiple accounts reporting they may have identified the Charlie Kirk shooter. 4chan Intel identified suspect Sky Valdez had a SoundCloud with a track that was uploaded with a track a month ago titled Charlie Kirk Dead at 31. Uploaded a track to SoundCloud. SoundCloud is a platform where you can host your music as a band, and then deleted the track and changed his location to Leave Me Alone. Lives in Utah and is transgender. So this was the track Charlie Kirk Dead at 31, and people were already leaving comments in here. FBI is coming to your door. You call it a coincidence, but I call it BS. Holy foreshadowing. What Undertale is this track for? Yeah, there's so many stuff, crazy stuff. Otto Wolf, the Charlie Kirk alleged assassinator, Sky Valdez, had photos on his now scrubbed Instagram with the trans from yesterday Omar, who knew of the assassination before it happened. So again, this is the thing that I'm a bit frustrated at times. We arrive late at the social media scene and everything begins to be scrubbed off the internet. Is this the same rifle? Sky Valdez posted it and could prove they were training with the same rifle. A shot from that distance wouldn't be hard with that zero scope. And there was this Pinterest in which Sky Valdez was using a rifle. For you, my body language buddies who are into rifles and know how to identify, maybe you can see from this angle, the shape and size. There's a big suppressor in there. I don't know if you could tell that it's the same rifle that was recovered by the FBI. 4chan found Sky Valdez yesterday while GeneMax FBI was still focused on that all boomer. More information. Sky Valdez of Ogden, Utah had a music project called God's Finest Scalpel, and in April released a digital album called Death to American Scum, which included a track called Charlie Kirk's Death Isn't Enough for Me. Oh right, this is so strange. The number 2, he apparently also had a song on SoundCloud called Charlie Kirk Dead at 31, which has since been removed. This lead seems to have first been discovered by an enterprising user of 4chan's POL board. Checking 4chan. 4chan can be crazy, man. Crazy. Again, this according to Tyro Prone, allegedly, I'm just reading stuff posted on X. Sky Valdez, trans teacher in Utah, posted a song a month ago titled Charlie Kirk Dead at 31. They call themselves God's Finest Scalpel. Oh my god, the SoundCloud got deleted. Sky Valdez doesn't link to any real names. He's the trans bassist of the band. The singer of the band is named August Hegoas. Maybe born Leila. Again, I'm telling you, I'm so confused with all this. This is the kind of stuff that when you go to the depths of the internet, this is what you find, and it's way beyond Forrest Gump's box of chocolate. You don't know what you're getting into. Her dad is Brandon Hegoas and works for Northman Gunthrop. Oh, interesting. I tried to submit a tip to FBI, but their website isn't letting me. They should interrogate her now. Her or him, I don't know. Guess I found more images showing Sky Valdez. The body and shoulder structure looks similar to what FBI Salt Lake City posted. Justice for Charlie. Also, Pinterest already took down Sky Valadez page Rainy Sky 021, which had transgender styling pics and military pics according to a Google image search. So many things. There are doubts as well. Do you really think this person, Sky Valadez, is capable of shooting someone in the neck from 200 meters? Well, why not? If you're in a prone position, if you have your rifle against your shoulder and have a good scope, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe you can tell me in the comments about that. And yes, see, 4chan is the new PSYOP delivery system, outpacing the good old FBI. The suspect, Sky Valadez, had a SoundCloud track, blah blah blah. Now the track is wiped, and yet this hit was clearly professional. Layered planning, decoys, execution. That's the thing that we have said from the beginning. This looks really professional. Doesn't sound like something done by a single person. So why are mainstream outlets and talking heads suddenly treating 4chan credibly? Why now? Who benefits from breaking the September 11 spell and casting a new one? Who's the target audience? How does Palantir and Gideon fit in? Oh my God, we're going into heavy stuff here. Is this person capable of doing this? And this is the post from FBI Salt Lake City. I already made a video about this. That's what I thought was odd. That the body shape looked odd for a guy. Maybe the shape looked more adequate for a woman. If it's a trans man, it's a woman, right? And that would explain the size of the hands in regards of the head. That would explain a lot of things. That would feed a lot of things. Breaking: Sky Valadez, potential Charlie Kirk shooter, allegedly has just now changed their username and their profile picture and removed all of their information. This complete. Told you. Crazy stuff. Again, I'm just reading stuff that I find on X about this, and I still would like to know what you think about all this stuff in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.
UK Ambassador to the US, Peter Mendelsohn, has been sacked over his relationship.
Hi guys, it's me again, and today we're going to look at some of the interesting users on, you would never believe it, Blue Sky. That's right. And I don't know how this keeps happening, but yesterday, after Charlie Kirk was brutally murdered, he was shot in the throat, bled out on stage in front of everybody, including his own family and his children. The number of people in the games industry who decided to go on to social media, particularly Blue Sky. A lot of these people, you have to understand that many of these people have already been run off of Twitter because there's a level of discourse and negativity that they can't really deal with. So the only place that they can really exist is on effectively a reservation like Blue Sky, where their opinions are protected and they're allowed to be vitriolic and nobody's allowed to tell them that they're wrong. Well, that's why we're making this video. We're going to be looking at some of the different people that, after the death of Charlie Kirk, decided to, and I'm not really going to be going through, everybody is going to draw the line at a different place. Here's where I draw the line. I personally have a big problem with people that are celebrating him being killed. I don't have a big deal if somebody says I don't like him or I never liked him or something like that. But for the people that are celebrating for him being killed, advocating for future violence, and saying that it's a good thing, I think that's what crosses the line for me. And I think that's what crosses the line for any reasonable, normal person. And so anyway, we're going to go through a number of people. And the first thing I wanted to start out with today is that maybe you guys remember this from the beginning of the year. It was a big content year, I would say that. And people might have forgotten, but there is a person who decided to advocate for killing your local MAGA. This was a Blizzard employee, and I want to say that after the video that I made on him and a lot of other people made on him, this person lost their job and effectively has ruined their life. And I want nothing more than for the exact same thing to happen to the people in this video too. So I hope that after you guys see these individuals and you see what they're advocating for, you'll be able to go out and tell their employer, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not comfortable funding a video game that is employing people that are advocating for the brutal murder of a person in front of their family. And it's absolutely insane, but it's also not surprising. And so anyway, we're going to go through some of these. Obviously, I put out a post about this before. This was yesterday, if you guys want to make a list, and this is something I'll go ahead and just contextualize it all. So there's several game developers that are liking posts that are people mocking Charlie Kirk's assassination. We'll look at pretty much who these people are. We'll start off with this. These are people, Dennis. Let's look at this, and this is also on Blue Sky. I'm 6'5" and fans, Blue Sky Social, sound effects associate at Bungie. So Bungie, you know, the game that's trying to make Marathon, I guess they were too busy. Well, he's doing sound effects, not visual effects. So maybe he actually has to do his job rather than just copy pasting something off of Twitter. But anyway, you've got somebody like this who's advocating for, and again, people might think that it's not a big deal. Oh, well, these people aren't making these statements themselves. These people aren't really saying anything that is that extreme. Here's the reason why. The reason why is because it creates an ecosystem and an environment where the actual extremism and the actual radical behavior is feeling comfortable. It feels comfortable in an environment where you have this blasé, passive acceptance of it, and you have people that are just basically complicit with it, but they're not openly saying it. They're just privately doing it, or they're just privately voicing their support as well. And well, I guess in this case it's not private anymore, is it? And so anyway, we have a associate producer at Bungie who is liking and promoting tweets that are celebrating the death of a person being shot in the neck in front of their family and bleeding out profusely on the stage in front of millions of people. And so good job, Bungie. Really good winners you've got here. I can't wait to play Marathon. I thought that my expectations for the game couldn't be lower, but somehow Dennis has managed to fulfill, or exceed those expectations, you could say. I've got another one also. Kelly, senior producer at Sucker Punch, amateur cosplay armor, D&D enjoyer, source of corgi pics, they and she. Okay, so we have also, and you're going to see this word, this term, Sucker Punch, a number of times. We're not talking about the action, but we are talking about the company. This is the company that makes the game, or that is making the game, Ghosts of Yotai. Ghosts of Yotai, and this is also important to keep in mind, is that the voice actress for the game, for the character itself, has gone multiple times on record making the most deranged, stupid comments like defunding the police. She's just your typical like libtard, insaniac, moron, retard, right? It's not really that complicated, but what it really indicates is that there's a culture in this company and there's a culture in this environment where this type of radical, violent behavior and language is normalized. You have multiple people at the company that are all saying these things, and we're going to get to the other ones too. This is another person here also that works at the company, and so you can see right here, obviously this is them retweeting or posting something that they did with the game, and then right after that, I hope the shooter's name is Mario so that Luigi knows his bro got his back. And I've been noticed that Twitter has noticed me from the, I've been told that Twitter has noticed me from the, across the room. Well, we certainly have. We absolutely have. And I think that these kinds of comments are absolutely disgusting. This is a person that works at a massive game company, and they're openly advocating for, on public platforms, and promoting and celebrating the murder of a random person. This is disgusting. It's really disgusting. And in my opinion, I don't think that it should be tolerated. And that's the reason why I'm making this video. I think that everybody should try to message anybody that works at this company, anybody who, like any sort of PR, any management, anything like that. Let them know that you don't want to support a company that employs people that celebrate the murder of innocent people just for exchanging ideas. This is a disgusting thing to do. And you can see also, and I think this is a systemic problem at the company itself, whenever you have three people, the voice actress and then these two other people that are also doing this, I think that it's very obvious that this company has been infected with the same kind of moral rot that many other video game companies have unfortunately been affected by. And so you have also Zibs, they, them, always a very good indicator of mental awareness and normality. A producer at Magic the Gathering. So this person works at, I'm assuming, Wizards of the Coast. And they're working at Magic the Gathering Arena. Previously also at, wow, what are the what are the odds of that? What a coincidence. And so what you've got here, this is again another person who is celebrating this type of violent behavior. And I think that again, people need to make their voices known and make them. This is just simply not acceptable. This is not normal. This is not what average people want. We don't want to have people that are openly making statements and calls to violence like this, or celebrating calls to violence or actual violence like this, making our products. It's disgusting. And I know that some people would maybe consider and say, well, this is something that could be a little bit like cancel culture. And I want to say that it absolutely is. 100% is. The fact is that these are the same types of people who would lie about you and make up things about you and try to destroy your career and destroy your reputation for disagreeing with them on something political. But now whenever it's happening to them, they're the victims. Well, if you want to be the victim, it's time to earn it. I think also, here's another thing, is that if you work at one of these companies and you have one of these individuals that works at your company, you do have a recourse to this, and that's calling and talking to HR. Because the fact is that HR does not operate in your best interest, and it doesn't operate in their best interest either. It operates in the best interest of the company. And when you have people that are making public statements and calls to violence and celebrating violence like that, they're creating a hostile and an unsafe work environment. And anybody who works in HR, or anybody who works inside of any sort of corporate environment, will tell you that that's something that just can't exist in a corporate environment. There's a reason why we have levels of decorum, and there are some levels of HR that make sense. And so if you work at one of these companies and you have a person like this doing it, make sure to talk to HR and let them know how uncomfortable you feel that there's a person who's working at your company who might want to advocate to have you killed because you disagree with them. Tell them that it makes you afraid to come into work. Tell them that, you don't know, maybe you're going to file a lawsuit. You feel unsafe at your workplace. And honestly, here's the important thing. You should feel unsafe, because these people would justify violence against anybody who disagrees with them. And just because you think you know them doesn't mean they wouldn't do the exact same thing to you. And this is them. This is the game that they're making right here. And you can see that they've made no statement about this. Now, let me ask you a very simple question. If these people made a degrading comment towards the trans community, for example, or towards the black community, for example, do you think Sucker Punch would have immediately fired them and made a statement? I think so, absolutely. But for some reason, these people are protected. And the reason why they're protected is because there's a lot of other ones at the company that feel the exact same way that they do. That's the only logical reason that I have. And I think that at a certain point, Sony or somebody needs to step in. Whoever owns this company needs to step in and root out this disease before it kills the entire company. Because I do think that it will have a tremendously negative effect on the game. And you can see this right here. This is a post that Sony made, I guess it was a couple of days ago, about Ghosts of Yotai. And you can see 1,000 comments on this. Your senior dev at Sucker Punch is a violent leftist, etc. And these are more comments here. Never let up the pressure. Never, ever, ever do that. Keep this pressure up until these people lose their jobs. And then after they lose their jobs, then take a break, relax, pat yourself on the back, wait for him to get another one, and then do it again. And that's the only way that you should treat these animals. And that's exactly what they are. You shouldn't view them as people. You shouldn't view them as a person with a political disagreement from you. These are violent animals that are trying to destroy the last good thing that we have, which is the open ideas of political discourse. And they're celebrating murdering people for doing it. And as soon as that starts happening, I don't want to know what's next. And the worst thing is that I already do, and I think you do too. And so anyway, we've got more of these. Here's resignation is not enough for me. I hope he tanks the studio. And cowards keep quiet. The studio deserves to go under. I understand why a lot of people at these companies don't speak up, which is why I suggest that if you work at one of these companies, please make sure to go to HR. Go to HR and file these complaints legitimately with them. There are certain legal things that they have to do, and in some cases, these people will pretty much lose their job for sure if enough people are discussing it. And you have also some people make comments like this. It's wild how the woke right, like Asmongold, Grums and others, showing themselves to be what they hate, authoritarian freaks that want to censor and silence anybody they despise. Yeah, I do. I do. I think that anybody who's advocating for killing people over speech like this should be censored. Absolutely. And this is just normal. Absolutely. I don't. There's this trick that a lot of people like this like to play, which is they try to use your own language and use your own morality against you. These people don't care about freedom of speech. They don't care about censorship. They don't care about any of that. They're simply trying to weaponize your values and use them against you in order for them to fulfill their own goals. And so every time that they try to make an appeal to your own values, you should ask yourself, do they hold these values? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't take it seriously, because this person is simply trying to use your values to subvert you and take advantage of you and to push their own agenda and to hurt you. And so never listen to this, never play into this game, never even acknowledge that that there's any validity to it at all. These people don't care about freedom of speech. The only time they bring it up is whenever they're trying to co-opt the person who does care about freedom of speech and make that person act against their own best interest. But anyway, we've got also, this is me, I was supposed to put out the call for finding game.
This is someone who knew exactly what they were doing, as someone who has a long history in shooting. This wasn't an amateur.
This assassination of Charlie Kirk is indicative of a professional hit.
It looks like a professional hit job from quite a ways away.
For the next week, an opposing person from the left gets assassinated. You have to know this is happening from an outside source, a different country that wants to see America have a civil war.
Doesn't this look like somebody who knew how to kill?
Very well planned, very well orchestrated plot.
So we have multiple voices in the news saying that this was not an amateur, multiple former FBI agents, law enforcement experts saying that this assassination has all the hallmarks of a professional hit job.
I think this assassination, different than the assassinated attempt back in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a very well planned, very well orchestrated plot that was put in motion days before, and this individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being out up on a rooftop and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken. When you take a look at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, Crooks came onto the venue, he left the venue, he came back, he was questioned. I mean, it was really an amateur scenario. This assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is indicative of a professional hit, and I'm not so sure that we are going to quickly be able to apprehend this individual without some luck, hopefully.
When you say professional hit, what do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean one shot, one kill, escape already planned and at large? It looks clean, yes, but could this be done by anybody with any sort of basic training?
Well, when you take a look at the video, when you take a look at the venue and the spectators and how close they are to Charlie Kirk, and then you have that kind of like umbrella over him, that kind of tent, you have to know that this shooter had to be perched in a position with respect to being able to lay his sights perfectly, basically a headshot. And the shot that was taken to immediately incapacitate Charlie Kirk. And so this was not some amateur who just, got up on a rooftop because it was, what I consider spontaneous combustion. He got up this morning and decided he was going to do something crazy. This seems the earmark of a professional that got up onto this rooftop well in advance of the venue being occupied by the spectators. He was clearly undetected. There was no indication that anybody saw him up on this rooftop. Obviously, after that one single shot was taken, he was able to basically very quietly and systematically elude any further detection and escape. There's been no indication that there's been a vehicle identified or any mode of how he actually escaped the venue. And so to me, this is someone who had some experience, some level of sophistication to have mapped out exactly how this was going to go down.
So I want to be clear, I was also one of these people who immediately just thought that this was some kind of left-wing violence, that there was someone with a grudge against Charlie Kirk, that it was potentially an amateur of some sort, but a lot of voices out there are thinking this is a professional hit job. I'll get into the man who was taken into custody and then released in a second, but here's another voice in the media saying that it was a professional hit job and why.
It looks like a professional hit job from quite a ways away. Long shot, probably high-powered rifle, able to pierce the arteries in the neck. So someone who's professional, it appears. That's what the FBI's early assessment is. We're a long way from knowing a lot.
You're using a term. You're saying you use the word professional. What do you mean by that?
Someone who knew how to handle a gun. It wasn't someone that just got a spur-of-the-moment idea and was going to